Fourth term. Alassane Ouattara is a pathological liar.
Mais Alassane Ouattara est un menteur. Et je le répète pour vos auditeurs.
But Alassane Ouattara is a liar. I repeat for your listeners and viewers. People mustn't pay attention to his bluff. It's because he's a liar that he's never managed to come to power since 1993.
That's a strong word, liar.
Le mot n'est pas fort. C'est ce qu'il est. C'est la description.
That's not a strong word. That's what he is, that's the description. And that's how incidents are prepared. That's how incidents are prepared. Alassane Ouattara has always proclaimed that he has the majority in the country. And what I blame Beatty for is not letting him run in 1995. The greatest harm I did to him was signing a document authorizing him to be a candidate. That's the greatest harm I did to Alassane. Alassane Ouattara is a liar. President Laurent Gbagbo told us that long ago. But the problem today runs deeper than anyone realizes. The poor old crook, sadly, believes his own lies. He tells so many of them, day after day, that he loses track, he no longer knows what's real and what he's made up. More often than not, it falls to Dominique Ouattara to set him straight. She's the one who separates truth from fiction, telling him what might still pass and what's completely ridiculous.
I'll tell you what appeals to me about Alassane. What appealed to me and continues to appeal to me is that he is profoundly honest. Honest in the moral sense of the term.
Knowing full well that his candidacy would be met with outrage, the old crook tried to play it close to the chest, lying to everyone, partners and opponents alike. To some heads of state, he claimed he was too ill to run again. To others, he said he was still thinking about it.
And precisely to defend this record, many in Côte d'Ivoire say that since there are no successors in the RHDP who truly stand out below you, the best person to defend the record in 2020 will be you.
That's not true. I can name 2, 3, or 4 high-quality young people.
You can name them.
No, I won't. I still have my opinion. But we have a very good team with competent people, and that's why I've always insisted on the transfer of power to a new generation. But the time will come for that. You can't prepare a successor in 4 weeks or 2 or 3 months. So this is a sacrifice I'm making, and I want to make that clear.
That is to say, you are not ruling out running again in 2025.
Oh no, look, that's enough. This is a sacrifice I'm making. For me, it would be difficult, but possible. I hope the Constitution will solve this problem for us. I won't serve 4 terms because I don't want to end up president at 90. If everyone knew what the office of President of the Republic is, from a certain age, they themselves would no longer seek to be president. Yes, Captain Cotter is here. Before him, it was Colonel Major Diarasuba. Every evening, they bring me 2 suitcases of documents. Yes, notes, signatures. When I finish dinner, I work until 11 p.m. I wake up at 4:30 a.m. I work until 7 a.m. and at 10 a.m. I'm in the office. But, have pity on me. Let me go. In 2020, I informed the diplomatic corps that I intended to no longer be a candidate, because I felt it was necessary to hand over to a new generation. As I also said, my party has at least half a dozen candidates who are in this room. This is why, after careful consideration and in all conscience, I announced today that I have decided to run in the presidential election of October 25, 2025.
The wise man said, "When you speak, have pity on the one who listens to you."
And now here he is, forced to face reality, compelled to announce, publicly, a candidacy that no one wants anymore. And his greatest feat as a liar? He reportedly caught Emmanuel Macron off guard, his own master, no less, informing him only the day before, by phone. A pitiful stunt, staged to create the illusion of a surprise. He really thinks he's outsmarted the world. But the truth is, He's the only one who believes that everyone else is stupid, that no one saw it coming. Let us not forget. Macron justified Ouattara's already illegal third term with that infamous excuse, candidate by duty.
You asked me about Côte d'Ivoire. In Côte d'Ivoire, there is a president who speaks out and says, I will not run for a third term. Less than 10 minutes later, I take to social media to say that what Alassane Ouattara is doing is fantastic. It's historic. It so happens that his candidate died during the campaign. I myself, as you know, and this was public, did everything I could to ensure that another candidate intervened. I am not in charge of the party that proposed the candidate. And so, he was in a somewhat exceptional circumstance that you experienced more closely than I did. I cannot blame him for losing someone who was a friend and his prime minister, and who was destined to be a candidate in the election. But he replaced him, and he was the one who was re-elected. And in this case, he was unable to keep his commitment.
So now we wait to see what magical new formula they'll invent to try and sell us a fourth illegal, immoral, and suicidal term. But here in Côte d'Ivoire, we won't be fooled again. Because this fourth term is the final overload, the last drop of poison that will blow the whole thing wide open.
So, there was an announcement close to the cancellation of our march on August 2nd, 2025, from His Excellency President Alassane Ouattara, who announced to the nation that he is a candidate for a fourth term. You all know our position of principle on this fourth term. This fourth term, we reiterate, is an unconstitutional mandate. And for us, there is no question of a fourth term because it is in violation of the Ivorian Constitution. That is why we want to reiterate again today here, firmly and solemnly, our position on his fourth term. President Laurent Gbagbo will very soon pronounce himself on the matter, but in the meantime, we ask all our bases, all our activists, all our comrades in Côte d'Ivoire to remain mobilized. To remain mobilized and not to be intimidated. We are in a country governed by the rule of law, and the law will prevail. The Constitution prohibits any citizen from serving more than 2 terms as head of Côte d'Ivoire, and we must all abide by the rule of law.
Chris Yapi does not lie. Find Chris Yapi on his 2 YouTube channels, his Rumble channel, his TikTok, X, Instagram, VK and Threads accounts.